What's going on, everybody? I got Charlie Boldy back with me to discuss some baseball. We had opening day yesterday. Charlie, how we doing, bro?
Pretty good. The Yankees are 1-0. Cole looked good. I'm excited for the season. 58-2, baby.
What's your initial thoughts on the game yesterday? I'm sick to my stomach that we had to have rain to call it, but I'm glad.
Stanton looked good. I'll say right off the bat, I'm a big Stanton hater. I just think he strikes out way too much, gets hurt way too much, makes too much money. But he did look good. He had the big homer in the first, then he had a ribby single the other way, so he looked good. Cole was shaky in the first inning, I think. I think he was too nervous. It was his first start as a Yankee, so I think he had the adrenaline pumping and whatnot. But then he started to settle in, and he looked good in the last couple of innings before the rain delay.
As great as Garrett Cole is, I expect him to have a shaky start. I did not expect him to leave off like he did last year with this long offseason. Wearing the pinstripes is a whole different animal. No matter what atmosphere he played in, despite that they played in the World Series last year, he pitched in the biggest games. He pitched in the Bronx very well. He dominated the Yankees. When you're wearing that jersey, it's a different atmosphere, regardless that there's no fans in it. The first inning, he did look a little erratic. He wasn't hitting his spots. He looked like he was just throwing and aiming. He just looked like he wanted to come out and just dominate off the bat. I thought he was not going to pitch that well, but he really in. His strikeouts weren't crazy. Through the 5 innings, he only had 5 strikeouts. I expected him to give up a few more runs. I expected the strikeouts to be down, which they were, because he wasn't hitting his spots. But, hey, I got to give credit where credit's due. He really did settle down. Same thing with Max Scherzer. His strikeouts were up. But when you miss against the Yankees, when you miss your spots, you're going to pay for it. Like you said, I'm a big Giancarlo Stanton hater myself. But when you miss a pitch against him and you leave one over the plate, he's going to hit it 450 feet, which is what he did in the first inning. And that got the Yankees going. And Cole did have still a pretty solid line going 5 innings, 1 hit with 5 strikeouts. You can't complain, and the Yankees are 1-0.
Exactly. I was very hyped. I was a little worried about them having Brett Gardner bat 5th. I wasn't too big of a fan of that, especially when you have a bench of Miguel Andujar, Mike Tauchman, Clint Frazier even. So I love Gardner, but the guy is way past his prime. So I'd rather him be that veteran bat coming off the bench than to have him start every day.
On that note, you have to think DJ LeMahieu didn't start yesterday because he's coming off COVID. So he's last year. People like to say Aaron Judge was the best player. I do not think so. DJ LeMahieu and Gleyber Torres, whoever you want to say, those are the 2 best Yankees players. And when they're going, the whole team goes. So once you put DJ LeMahieu on the top of that lineup, the Yankees are going to be deadly. And again, we missed Miguel Andujar last year. That's a big factor. He's a big power threat. It's going to be tough where we could put him in the field. I think he's going to end up taking the DH spot. That's their best situation. And Mike Tauchman, people are very high on him. So when this is all situated and the Yankees have a healthy lineup, the weakest link, maybe Aaron Hicks or Mike Tauchman, and that is a great problem to have.
Exactly. And then once that happens, once you get LeMahieu back in the lineup, then you can move Hicks down in the order, and then you can move Gardner down back to, maybe like the 9 hole or something. So the Yankees have a good problem on their hands.
They're going to be very deadly when they're all healthy. But on that note, right before the game started, we got the news that there's going to be a 16-team playoff format. So we're expanding the playoffs. It's usually 10 teams. Now there's 16 teams. So I want to hear your initial thoughts.
I'm not a big fan of it, especially for this season. And I was coming into this season, only 60 games, 10 teams are making it. So every game is going to be crucial and pivotal. So I think what we thought was going to be a sprint has now slowed down to become a marathon, if that makes sense, because you don't really have to do much in order to make the playoffs. The first place and second place teams in each division are going to make the playoffs. So, you take the AL East, for example, the Yankees and Rays, they were going to be in if there was 10 teams or 16, but now they're already guaranteed spots. So now you're just leaving like bad teams the Red Sox, they have a chance now, or even the Rangers or like the Royals, like now these teams have a chance to go into the postseason, and now the first round is going to be a best of 3. Can you imagine the Yankees losing in the first round to, let's say, the freaking Tigers or something. Like, that's how mind-blowing it is. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of the best of three at all.
On that note, money talks. That's the whole thing with this thing that I am not crazy about is I smell one thing, and that is upset. I do not see the best team winning the World Series this year. It just, as a Yankee fan, it scares me more. I don't think the Yankees will win the World Series on that note. Because baseball is a sport where you're in the playoffs, you're a title contender. Any team could upset any team on any given day because that's the sport of baseball, and that's what's the beauty of the sport. No team really has a advantage over another, even though you're necessarily more talented. It's not like basketball where the most talented team is always going to win. It's basically getting hot at the right time. You're a team that you're getting hot at the right time, and you can rely on your starting pitching and have a dominant horse that you can rely on, an ace at the front of your rotation. You are always a title contender in the sport of Major League Baseball.
And another thing to add on is now the trade deadline is going to be all screwed up because teams are not going to be willing to sell because they're going to be right in the middle of the playoff chase. So now you're giving these teams that are probably, at 500 or maybe like a couple of games below 500 the opportunity to make the postseason, and now they're going to not sell the assets at the deadline. And, the MLB trade deadline is one of the biggest events of the year. We all look forward to it. We sit here, we sit in front of the TV for hours just waiting to see who's going to be traded where. And especially for this season, I don't think we're going to get a good trade deadline.
Yeah, not to. I'm going to try not to be biased here, but even though I'm a Yankee fan, I want to see the Yankees succeed. We haven't seen a World Series since 2009. They are more than due, but this is honestly good for baseball. Baseball's been in a bad spot. The younger generation, like our age and younger, they're not really loving baseball. Baseball's more of an older person sport, they say. We call it America's pastime, obviously. Our generation is more into football and basketball, the NFL and the NBA. So this is good for baseball because it is spicing it up. We see in football and especially basketball how the best team always wins. The front, it's like if you're the best team in the NBA, you're probably going to win the title. Baseball, it spices it up a lot more. I definitely expect an upset this year. I do not think the best team in the MLB is going to win the World Series. And yeah, what you said with the trade deadline, all it is spicing it up more, which will help TV revenue, which, again, it's money. Baseball's not doing well right now. So you got to make a change somehow. And people say, since it's different already in 2020, you got to play around with things. And honestly, I don't hate it too much having a 16-team playoff format because, like I said before, upsets are more likely to happen. It's something different that we've never seen. And again, this is something that we may see moving forward. We don't know. It's going to depend if the season plays out, but it's something different. It's going to help baseball. It's going to help TV revenue. More games, the better. So I think that's why Major League Baseball is doing this at the end of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I understand the whole money aspect, but is it really worth it to add the three additional teams just to play a best of three? I mean, I get it, but I don't know.
Yeah, the reason why they're doing that is because like the wild card game, that's an awful rule because you're playing 162 games a year and then your season relies on one game. That's not fair, let's say, but life isn't fair. Baseball isn't fair. All it is it's creating TV revenue and it gets the fans more into it. It's more intense games. It's more meaningful games, which gets people's eyes to the TV, which is the goal at the end of the day in reality.
Well, I do like the wild card game for this fact is because it rewards you for winning your division. Like, that should be the main goal. You want to get into the playoffs, you win your division. So I think it puts the emphasis on winning the division. But now with the 16 teams making the playoffs, you don't really have to do much just to get in. So it takes away from the season. So now where every game matters, that's not the case in point anymore. It's now you can go in a slump for maybe 20 games and not be as badly affected as you were when only 10 teams were going to make it.
Definitely, it spices it up. It's different, and I'm open to hear some change in baseball because the game of baseball really needs it. But that's going to wrap up today, Charlie. I want to thank you for joining me and talking some baseball with me.
No problem. Thank you for having me. Let's go Yankees, baby.
Always a pleasure to have you on with me. Thanks again.